Triathlons are not merely a physical challenge. They are a journey of self-discovery and growth. They demand discipline, dedication, and unwavering commitment to excellence. I'm Hillary Topper, and this is Hillary Topper on Air, the Endurance Sports Edition. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing a seasoned triathlete, a coach, and founder of PlayTriStore.com, a hub for all things triathlon. Please welcome Ahmed Zahar.
Thank you so much, Hillary. Appreciate you.
So, Ahmed, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey into the world of triathlons, and how PlayTri started.
PlayTri started about 24 years ago now. And what happened is I've always been involved in sports, trying to stay healthy, on and off, go to the gym, swim, bike, run. When I was younger, I did a lot of swimming and water polo and sports in general, different sports, modern pentathlon, et cetera, soccer, So I always like to stay healthy and try to find something of interest to keep me healthy. And as you get married and have kids, that gets harder and harder, in general. And I really stumbled into triathlon, just kind of as a coincidence, going with some friends to watch them, and enjoyed the whole, as I say, I fell in love with the people of triathlon when I saw them. I always said, like, I remember describing it to one of my friends when I went back, and I said, I've never seen so many beautiful people in one place. And I didn't mean beautiful as, like dressed up or anything. Obviously, triathletes look maybe the worst in when they're doing a race in the morning or after the race, but it was just healthy people, and there was all kinds of people, tall, short, big, small, black, white. So it was just a great pleasure to be there. And I love the whole experience. And like I said, I fell in love with the people before I fell in love with the triathlon itself. Once I started getting into triathlon, just like everybody, and I caught the bug, as they call it, and got into, like, want to do it more and more and more. I found that it was very hard to get information about what am I supposed to do. And, and that was 24 years ago. Obviously, today, there's a lot more information. And that was also before Google, not that everything on Google is true anyway, but it was very hard to get information. So I would ask people, like, which bike to buy, and I would get 10 different opinions. I think that still exists, obviously, on Google, but at least when you talk with a person, usually you can nail them down and go, hey, why this, why that? And there was no answer for me. It was always all personal experience. It was like, I like that bike for me because of this and this and that. Or I think you should, when I tried to hire a coach, there was really no triathlon coaches. It was a running coach, coaching triathlon, a swim coach coaching triathlon, an accountant coaching triathlon. There was just like, I think there was only one triathlon coach nationwide that was doing it full time. When I first started, I think I might have been the second, third, probably at least top 5, top 10 triathlon coaches that kind of took the plunge and decided, hey, I'm going to do this full time. And I mean full time, like, I'm not doing anything on the side. I'm not working on a bike shop. I'm not doing accounting or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened? So when I grew up, and I grew up competitor, doing sports competitively, but I really grew up where, I like to always be coached. I always said, we as human beings, we can't maximize our abilities unless we're being coached. So, your first coach was your mother telling you, when to eat and all that. Your second coach, maybe your dad, telling you what to do and not to do. Then it's maybe your teacher at school, principal, whatever, mentor, boss, et cetera. And until today, we can't do anything without coaching. I mean, when you want to fix your car, you go to a mechanic coach, or a car coach. Call him mechanic, but he tells you what to do. Here is what you need to do. Here is what you need to pay. And I always grew up that way. Like I grew up like, hey, who's the expert? Let's take that expert. And you can pick the expert whether you pay them a lot of money or you kind of read about it or you hire them, but you have to know what you're doing in general. So I tried to, like I said, I tried to get more information. And 24 years ago, that wasn't available. To find a coach, I had to, a full-time triathlon coach, you had to fly somewhere. To buy a bike, you had to drive somewhere. To get a lactate test, you had to fly somewhere. To get a VO2 max test, you had to drive somewhere. Get a fit. I mean, all simple things that today you can find dozen shops in your area doing it, was not available 24 years ago. So that's kind of where that start of me getting involved in triathlon was falling in love with the people first, then triathlon second, as a healthy lifestyle. I like myself more when I work out. And the second thing for the business, what got me started in the business, was that I really couldn't find anybody to do anything. And this is still our philosophy with PlayTri is, whenever we open a business, a new business associated with I always say we're in the business of health. So whenever we open a business that associated with health or triathlon, people always ask me, are you here to compete with, this guy or that guy? And I always say, no, we're here to complete that, this guy or that guy. So even when we open our store, we opened it different than, to complete the other bike shops, in general. When we started the coaching, again, there was nobody there, but we started that because there wasn't anybody. So it was always complete, not compete, and that's still our philosophy today.
Now, PlayTri is amazing. I wish there were more PlayTris, but I know that you have about 5 or 6 around the country. What sets you apart from other platforms or resources available for triathletes?
Very good. So I actually, while we specialize more in triathlons, and I'm not going to be able to deny that because, it's in the name, and it's how we started, and it's everything, it's a lot. I always like to think of ourselves as actually a true bike shop or even a true health program, because we do coaching as well and we do other stuff. And I say that because when it comes to our coaching, for example, just to highlight on that quickly, we have performance testing. We have a pool in one of our stores to, be able to, teach swimming or improve your swim. So that aside, when it comes to the store, I like to think of ourselves as a true bike shop, because when you walk into a lot of the bike shops today, and I'm not saying all of them, you're going to find that they specialize in something. They might specialize in BMX bikes, it might specialize in mountain bike, in gravel, in something, and they might have one triathlon bike here or one road bike there, or vice versa, in general. What we do is, when you walk into our store, you're going to find a good selection of everything, in general. So you'll find triathlon bikes, road bikes, gravel bikes, mountain bikes, BMX bikes, kids bikes, hybrid bikes. So we have a good selection on everything. And we did that because at the beginning, we started doing that because when we have a triathlete, our triathlete client was like, hey, I want to buy a bike for my kid, but I don't want to go somewhere else. So we brought in the kids' bikes. I want to buy a bike for my spouse. So we brought in the mountain bike, and obviously a lot of triathletes now carry, they ride multiple bikes for different reasons. So we try to really, accommodate our clients as a triathletes, but we ended up attracting a lot of different cyclists and mountain bikers and all kinds of, because of the same thing. We have a good variety, good colors of the product that we carry. So I would say, yeah, if I have to say the one thing when it comes to the product that separates us is that. Now, the other part is we really, in most of our stores, and I don't want to say that most of our stores, we don't have salespeople. We have more either coaches or bike techs or I would call it educators. Like our job, and we emphasize that a lot, is not to sell people stuff, but educate them. Now, do we want you to buy the product from us? Of course we want you, and we try everything we can. But we like to think of ourselves as more educators. When you walk into the door, this is, we tell you the pros and cons of every product, bike, whatever it is, and we help you decide what's best for your goal. And that helped build a good reputation for us, that we don't really sell stuff. We just educate on it more. So I think and I'm not saying we're the only one doing that. There's a lot of great bike shops out there doing the same thing. But I would say that if I want to point to, two things that separates us, is these two things: is the variety of product that we have, and also it's a one-stop shop. We have run stuff, bike stuff. Like I said, we have a pool in there. We have performance testing. We have it's really, you just come and that's it. We got coaching. We put on races, events, so you don't have to go anywhere, in general.
That's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about what you think the future of triathlon and endurance sports is heading in the next decade. Do you think, and how is PlayTri adapting to these changes?
Yeah. So, so it's really good for health in general. I would say that where we are going, it's really good for health, because we are starting to be more like running. And I say that in a good way. Obviously, everything has good and bad. And I don't know if you know the history of running, but if you read about, if you're competing in the Olympics, in general, you'll find the Olympic coaches will say, this is a sentence literally was said to me, and I'm pretty sure it said the worst thing that happened to the United States running is jogging. Jogging was invented, which was great for me and you and everybody else, but it was really bad for running, because what happened is people associate running with jogging, which is two different things. Just like speed walking and walking, they're two different sports, So what happened with triathlon when I first started 4 years ago, it was really unfortunate. I say unfortunately because it was limited to the hardcore, triathlete or hardcore people in general. I mean, we always make fun of when 24 years when we raced, we really didn't have any referees on the course, and if you cheated and drafted out somebody, you got yelled at the end of the race. It was very seldom that anybody does that. Unfortunately, today you have to have a lot of referees to control that. But also, if the race was easy, nobody signed up. It was, the reputation had to be a hard race, lots of hills, hot, cold, whatever it is. And now we're, switching and moving to that jogging, part, obviously triathlon been around for 40 years. I just got involved 24 years ago, but I see it going more into the jogging part, which is really good. In my opinion, again, jogging was the best thing for health until today. I wish we can be the jogging of, of running, but that's where it's going now. It's going where you have a lot of people that are just, they do one race a year, every year, maybe even one every 5 years, but they stay healthy, they stay connected, it gets them out and up in the morning to go and do, a swim or a bike or a run. So we get a lot of these people now. They're looking more for easier races, which you can see a lot of even the Ironman races are switching, to more flat, accommodating, people, weather is better, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say the future is good when it comes to, the healthy part, just like in the jogging area where you get, we're getting a lot of the sport is becoming a lifestyle. It's becoming just like, hey, I want to do it and, do it once a year, once every 2 years. So that's good for health. It's probably going to have the same effect that it had on the on the Olympic or the elite or the world champions, where you're going to have the same, problem. We don't see it yet, but I'm sure, if history repeats itself, which usually does, you'll see coaches in triathlon complaining about that. But I see a really bright future for triathlon in general, and for businesses, because obviously you got to understand that the elite people don't spend a lot of money. A lot of times they're either sponsored by somebody or really don't have money. Unfortunately, triathlon doesn't make a lot of money. So it's really for the triathlon businesses. I would say that the future is bright as well, because you get that hobbyist or that guy that just want to be healthy, and he keeps businesses going.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. So let's go back to PlayTri store.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about the inspiration behind PlayTri's apparel line and how it enhances the triathlon experience for athletes?
Yeah, so I go back, like the whole triathlon idea actually came to me probably 6 months or a year into me doing triathlons. And it was because I remember very well, I wanted to get a bike fit, and I had to travel to Louisiana. There was great bike fitter over there, John Cobb, and or I think he was in Louisiana at the time. I know he lives in Tyler now, but I had to go all the way over there to get a bike fit. I wanted to get a VO2 max or a lactate test, and I had to go to Florida, where the Olympic Center was there, at the time. I'm not sure if it's still there, but I had to go over there to get a lactate test. It was really a struggle. To get a triathlon bike, that was almost impossible. I got a road bike, and when I had to get a triathlon bike, I had to order it. So everything that I had to do, finding a coach, buying anything, it was very hard. And really the idea, came to me like really 6 months, a year into it. I was like, how can I get one place, to do all these things,
Mhm.
Now, at the time, the reason it took 10 years to get there or longer is obviously, I didn't have the finances to do it, but also, most importantly, didn't have the experience to do it. You know what I mean? So um, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if you can hear that.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
So
like,
now my phone went off. I apologize. Let me turn it off. Yeah. So so what happened is, um, the idea came to me, and it took a long time to do it. It took, like, I think 10 years or 14 years to make it complete. And it was, again, there wasn't anybody doing performance testing like VO2max, so we did that. There was nobody doing coaching, so I went and I got certified. Really, I got certified to coach myself first, and then just people started to ask me to do it, and so on and so on and so on. And that kind of went on until we got into the retail business. But it was almost the same thing, me trying to find somebody to do it. When nobody did it, I did it, and so on and so on.
so how do you decide on what brands to carry at PlayTri?
Very good.
How do you go about that?
Yeah, so the bike industry in general was already set when I came in. And what happened is, you have the big three of the bikes, which is Trek, Specialized, and Giant. I think everybody knows that. So, I don't like saying brands, because I don't like to talk good or bad about anybody, or bad at least. But
Yeah.
I've always said this. I'm from Egypt originally, and when I came to Egypt, I said this. I say this out loud, and in a good way and a bad way. But I say, we will we will never really see the best American athletes, in the Olympics. We will never see them, because they go to football, basketball, baseball first.
Hmm.
And I've always said that these three sports um, really took away from all the other beautiful sports that are out there. Does that make sense? And I can say the same thing about Egypt. Soccer takes a lot of the best athletes in there. So, it's everywhere. I can say that about
Hmm.
Germany. I can say,
Hmm.
but really, it's intensified in the United States. I see it more intensified than anything. I mean, I remember I used to do fencing when I did marathon pentathlon, and I remember I was in Germany in a camp when I was younger, and there was the World Championship of fencing over there, and there was it was on the radio and TV, and the bars were like full, packed, people watching fencing. That most people probably don't even know what fencing is or what the rules are. So there are a lot of beautiful sports that kind of people, Americans, didn't see, or don't know, or will never know that we would probably have the best American fencer if we didn't go into football. Now I understand the reason behind it and all that stuff, and football and basketball, obviously, and baseball are great sports, and that's probably why the attraction. But I say this, I always give that example because I see the same thing in the bike industry, where when I first came in, Trek Specialized and Giant are great bikes. Can never, argue that. But they took all the marketing, or all the, everybody knows about them, that they ignore, that the Americans were really I don't know how to say it in English, but basically Americans were not seeing all the other beautiful European bikes, and I really,
Yes.
or Canadian bikes. And I can argue that Canadian and European bikes are better. I can argue that because,
Hmm.
again, they've been doing bikes, longer than us, for a long time. Everybody bikes, and we were in Germany a few months ago. Everybody bikes over there. Everybody. I mean, there's more bikes than I've ever seen. They have, I was listening to a podcast in Germany that was translated, but they were talking about how they're now competing with the car industry. Like they're trying to kick the car industry out and bring the bikes in general. So they're not just competing with each other, selling, this brand or this one, but they have plans, and they had a long podcast about how they're trying to kick the car industry out, or push it out of the way and grab a lot of it. So you can argue when somebody works obviously on bikes all day, every day, and all this stuff, and been doing it for 100+ years. Bianchi is, a lot of people don't know that, is the oldest bike manufacturer in the world, over 100 years, and it's Italian, obviously. So you can argue that. And when I got into the sport of triathlon, I love bikes. I love bikes in general. And having to only have the option of a Trek or a Specialized or a Giant, while they are great bikes, I just love to see other bikes. And that was a struggle to get other bike shops to commit to other brands. I remember going to other local bike shops, or local to Texas, local to Dallas, and I'm like, can you please get this bike? No. Can you please get that bike? No. And there was always good business reasons. I can't argue with it, and everybody has to do what's best for their business. But they really, to them, it wasn't worth investing. So what we did is we really invested in a lot of the brands that are not a Trek Specialized and Giant. Does that make sense?
Very
And
cool.
when you walk into our store now, there is, we don't have I mean, I have my preference on bikes. My manager will have a different preference. My wife had a different preference, but we love bikes. So when you walk into the store, we just educate you about the bikes. And we really recommend, I mean, I always recommend, to get the right bike, you need to think outside the box. You need to not be stuck on the color, or stuck on the brand. That's the way to get the perfect bike for you. So that's kind
Absolutely.
of where, what we did in general. So when you walk in there, we got like, Cervelo, Panerola, Bianchi, Aragon 18, Cannondale, uh, uh, you know, Scott. We had, a whole bunch of brands. I'm sure I forgot somebody, and somebody will be mad at me for not saying their name. But, we have a great variety of bikes, or product in general.
So now talk to me a little bit about franchise opportunities.
Yes.
I know that you've been trying to branch out, and we desperately need you in New York.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about like what the process would be if somebody was interested in
Yeah.
franchising?
Yeah, thank you. So what happened is, it's the same thing when I did the coaching. When I started the coaching, I was like, hey, I'm gonna give it a year or two to see if I can make a living out of it. Because like I said, everybody was doing it part-time, and there's a reason for it, is you don't make a lot of money. So I figured, hey, how can I make a couple of bucks that I can, pay my bills? So I figured out a way in the coaching to be able to make a living out of it. And while I always tell all our coaches, heck, I tell everybody that works at PlayTri or works in the bike business, you will never make the big money that lawyers and doctors or anybody or accountants or anybody make. But I figured out a way to make a living, in general. And then you can choose, hey, do you want to live a healthy lifestyle that you're happy with and not have a lot of money, or go be a lawyer and have whatever lawyer stress is, in general. And there's no wrong answer. Obviously, everybody picks what they want. So when I kind of had the blueprint for the coaching, part to make a living, I started recruiting coaches, to work with us at PlayTri, in general. And over time, not only that we help a lot of coaches, but we mentor a lot of coaches. And there's a lot of coaches also that replicated what we're doing, and they're doing a great job. And I'm very proud of them. Some I know, some I don't even know. So when I started when the whole concept became together, we got the coaching, we got the performance testing, we got the group training, we got the store. At one point, after probably, I would say 3 to 4 years, I would say maybe 5 years. At 5 years, I think I was going to kill myself and everybody. But after that hump, I started to have a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun to, coming to work, just enjoy myself. I mean, I do still today, even through the hard times. Obviously, if you don't have any good time, you quit. But I was always having a good time, and then I get people like you, and they're like, hey, why don't you come to New York? Why don't you come to Las Vegas? Why don't you come, to Wisconsin? And I was like, well, I'm having a lot of fun. Maybe there's another Ahmed out there that wants to have my kind of fun, not, make decent money, but nothing big, have a good lifestyle. I always tell people I'm working right now talking to you. Went on a ride this morning with some friends. That was considered work, so maybe somebody else out there. So we decided to do it really just like everything I did. We've never started anything with the number one goal is to make money. Never. It's always, how can we help more people, but make enough money that's sustainable to be able to continue to do it? Because if you don't make any money, it's not sustainable, so then you quit and everybody loses. And you see that in a lot of stuff. It becomes a charity, which charity is good, but most charity people have money on the side. So the idea came to me. I was like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and do it and see if anybody wants to do it. And, we did it. It took a couple of years to, again, put all that knowledge in my head in a paper, on a manual, and then a few years to obviously get our first franchisee. And now we have 7 franchisees.
Wow.
So we're still working on it, obviously, and then trying to improve every day. But that's how to sign up. It's all the information on our website, playtristore.com or playtri.com, either one. And you go to playtristore.com, just see the franchise. You can see all the information. There's a fee to, obviously, franchise agreement, and then there's some royalty. But we provide probably, according to my franchise lawyer, we provide more for the franchisees than any of the franchisee zones he worked with or established in general. So it's really good. It's really interesting. It's a great lifestyle, and it fixes a lot of the problems of maybe having a store in New York. It's very hard for me to own a store in New York and fly back and forth and handle the day-to-day stuff. But for a franchisee, it's really good because he can make some money, have a great lifestyle, and then we try as much as we can to update them. Number one, not have them repeat our mistakes, because again, to say that we never did the mistakes would be a lie. Like I said, the first 5 years, I can write a book of what not to do, so not what to do, but more what to do is probably a small book. What not to do is like a big book. So, we try to make them avoid the big book and just focus on the small book of what to do and how to be successful and have fun with it. And we've had, I would say we have a pretty good, growth, for where we're looking for.
Can you remind people where you're located, all the stores, and actually, how to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So PlayTriStore.com has a lot of the information. Obviously, that's our website that has a lot of our products and all that stuff. We have you can see all our locations in there, and we have a location in Oceanside, California. We have a couple in Wisconsin. We have a couple in Sarasota. We have obviously 6, 7 of them in Texas. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, in general. That's where we started, and that's where I am right now. So that's where the locations. But the easiest thing is to go to playtristore.com and just go on the drop menu of services of locations, and you can see all our stores over there and see which one is closest to you. For me, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can email coach@playtri.com. I'm always very responsive, as much as I can. Sometimes, I get overwhelmed with emails. If I don't get your email, I always tell people email me again and again. Sometimes it goes to junk email, or it just kind of gets you to the top. I try to help and mentor. I mean, I mentor people overseas as well. I always try to, help people with whatever it is, whether it's goals, coaching, retail, bikes, stuff like that. So yeah, I love doing it, and I love helping people. So coach@playtri.com is always how you reach me directly.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I really appreciate you being on the show. I also want to thank our sponsor, PlayTri Swim Bike Run, a retail bike shop and multi-sport specialist. For more information, visit playtristore.com. I'd also like to thank our listeners for tuning in each week. And if you want more information on this show or any other show, visit hillarytopper.com, or you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're out there. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.